Hi there. Last week, I finally got to give a TEDx talk I've been looking forward to giving for several months, but it didn't go according to plan. I completely blanked out halfway through. And aside from the frustration and embarrassment of that, I was frustrated that I wasn't able to tell the story about the physical store in a way that I wanted to. So what I've decided to do is record the presentation with a script so I don't lose the words this time, but also support it with some imagery to help communicate what I was trying to say. So this is hopefully the proper version of what I wanted to say last Sunday. I hope you enjoy it. Napoleon referred to England as a nation of shopkeepers, and he meant it as an insult. But personally, I take it as a huge compliment. And today I want to explain to you why I think the physical store is far from dead, but instead is a thriving environment that delivers both financially and socially. I first got involved in the retail sector 23 years ago when I started working for a design agency. And I got to see how all of the design, manufacturing, and advertising of products all comes to a head in the physical store. This is where the customer chooses to put their hand in their pocket and buy. And I was hooked. This is the sharp end of business, and I've been fascinated by retail ever since. I've been fortunate to travel the world to visit and experience amazing stores on 4 continents, and the humble shop continues to surprise and delight. Now, COVID hit stores hard with global lockdowns and store closures. And this led to lots of negative media coverage with headlines suggesting that stores were dead. This resulted in some big decisions made by misinformed company leaders. And one of the biggest digital and social media businesses recruited 10,000 new staff, firmly in the belief that we would all be online in the future. In reality, we didn't all go online. And unfortunately, this organization ended up making the vast majority of these new hires redundant, a devastating miscalculation that ignored a basic understanding of human behavior. And we learned the difference between habits, what we instinctively do, and behavior, which is our resulting actions. And despite what many said, our habits didn't change during lockdown. Instead, they were just put on hold. We learn to appreciate human-to-human contact because humans are social creatures. And we kept hearing about new normal, how we were all online now. But this was a myth. Instead, we returned to normal. And as we emerged bleary-eyed from lockdown, we saw a number of things evolve. Firstly, footfall, the number of people on the high street, is slowly returning towards pre-COVID levels. It's currently 13% lower than 2019, but we have to factor in a couple of big reasons here. Working from home means that up to 20% of office workers will be in their houses on any given day, reducing the population in town centres. We also have to factor in the impact of foreign tourists. For obvious reasons, there are no Russians travelling and spending right now, and Chinese tourists have only been able to start travelling in recent months. This is a huge part of retail sales, especially in major cities like London. And secondly, digital sales, the purchase of goods online, has been steadily growing for years. It hasn't reached its full potential yet, and its share of retail sales is still increasing. We saw an obvious spike in digital sales during lockdown because the government closed physical stores. However, since the pandemic, the digital share of retail sales has dropped back to where it would have been if COVID hadn't happened. COVID made no impact on the growth of digital sales. The Chinese coined a fabulous phrase due to COVID, revenge shoppers. Isn't that a great description? It's a wonderful way of depicting the overreaction of people once they could get outdoors and do all the things they'd been denied because of lockdown. And this behavior was acted out around the world. We went shopping, booked a meal in a restaurant, had a haircut, well, maybe you did, and we went on holiday, all because we could again. So in reality, where did we return to? To the behaviors and shopping choices that we made pre-COVID. This is natural and instinctive because humans are social creatures. 3/4 of all purchases around the world are still happening in a store. That's a huge market share for a channel that the lazy media suggests is dying. And this is clear evidence our habits did not change during the pandemic. As I said, normal resumed. Okay, now I want to talk to you about what I call symbiotic retail. Others may call it unified commerce, or that horrible word, phygital. You may have heard of the phrase omnichannel, which describes the different ways we shop. For example, the physical store, website, social media, or app. You get the idea. But lots of brands and retailers focus heavily on recognizing and differentiating these various ways of buying. When I talk about symbiotic retail, it recognizes that shoppers are not choosing one way of buying at the exclusion of others. The symbiosis means that we're looking at a principle of as well as, not instead of. That's how these different channels work together to provide a cohesive and comprehensive shopping experience. Too much emphasis is placed on one way of buying over another, but in reality, as shoppers, we all use lots of the options. So let me demonstrate using 3 differing examples what I mean by symbiotic retail. Number 1, Nike's app can recognize you when you arrive at a shopping mall, and it can message you, encouraging you to visit the store. And you can scan, learn about, and even buy products using the app in the store. If you want to try something on, you can request this via the app. Nike already knows your sizes from previous purchases, so the correct items are waiting for you at the changing room. So the app on your phone works with the physical store to make your visit easier and more convenient. Secondly, retailers like Situ Live and Showfield created physical showrooms to showcase products. However, to make a purchase, you digitally scanned a QR code in the store, which took you to a website where you could buy for home delivery. The store was effectively a shop window for website sales. And finally, the beauty retailer Sephora, who've opened their first 2 stores in London recently, have stated that when they open a store in a new city, website traffic from that city increases. If you visit the shop, then you explore the brand further online. And these are all examples of symbiotic retail. So we can see how the store combines with other channels to make the whole experience easier and more rewarding for shoppers. And this is working. In 2023, we saw a net gain of 900 new stores as brands recognized the value of a physical touch point as a centerpiece for their retail sales. Here in the UK, Marks and Spencer has had some bad press about closing a number of stores recently. Because they are what we call a legacy retailer, which is a long-established retailer with lots of stores, they're an easy target for quick, ignorant judgments. And the general media is too fast to write stories about any retailer closing a shop, implying that stores aren't working anymore. However, what doesn't get mentioned in the same articles is that M&S is opening lots of larger stores while closing smaller ones. It's not a store closure program, it's a redefining of their retail estate. And it's working for them. Last year, their clothing and home sales were up 11%, and most telling, their physical store sales increased by 14%. Recently, I was invited to visit their new Liverpool store the day before it opened, and I witnessed the huge development in their store design, the product presentation, and overall experience. and it's easy to see why their sales are increasing. Why is this working for Marks and Sparks? Because they recognize the value of good quality physical stores. We like to shop in person because humans are social creatures. I believe there are three unique aspects to physical retail, but before I explain them, I want to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence and how this amazing technology needs to be balanced with those unique aspects to ensure the store delivers effectively. So, artificial intelligence, the latest buzzword in many industries, and the retail world is one that's particularly excited about embracing this new technology that has the ability to learn and evolve. Artificial intelligence, or AI, can scour the internet to find reference points to shape its response, and it improves the more we use it. Retail has a huge opportunity to use technology to carry out tasks, predict future actions, and advance solutions. For example, McDonald's is always looking at ways to improve their efficiencies and processes. They're using AI to check the weather, traffic delays, roadworks, local events, and other factors to help them calculate how many Big Macs to start cooking at the beginning of the day. This accurate, predictive technology can save them millions of pounds in wasted food. Another example of AI in retail is how it's been used to observe the body language of shoppers at store checkout. Predictive AI can recognize unusual behavior in shoppers at self-checkout tills, and it can then notify staff that the shopper might be about to leave without paying. Staff can then approach the customer to interact or confront them to prevent the theft. In fact, Waitrose has coined the wonderful phrase love bombing. This is when their staff approach suspicious shoppers and smother them with attention and offers to help to deter them from stealing from the store. Love bombing. We need a bit more of that in the world, don't you think? And this reminds me of the Tom Cruise movie Minority Report, where murders were predicted and stopped. But instead, we have AI here predicting and preventing the theft of eggs and milk. Okay, it's not murder, but it's still important. While this type of solution is exciting, it poses a threat to staff who fear for their jobs. And this is a balancing act for retailers because staff are a hugely important part of physical stores. Okay, let's return to those unique aspects of the store I mentioned earlier that differentiate it from online options. Firstly, we can touch and feel products in a store. For example, we can try it on a pair of jeans to ensure they fit properly. We can pick our own fresh fruit and vegetables to ensure we have the juiciest options. And we can sit on a sofa to feel how comfortable it will be in our own home. And the second aspect is peripheral vision, the ability to be distracted by other products while shopping. On a website, we can view a product on a page, and apart from one or two other images of products at the bottom of that page, that's it. However, in a store, we can visit to look at one product, say a pair of jeans. But while we're there in the shop, we see a great bag and we end up buying that too. Like magpies, we respond to shiny new things, and a store is the best way for a retailer to sell us more stuff. Now, just after Christmas, I went shopping for a fridge freezer with my wife, and instead we returned home with a pair of boots, a handbag, some fishing tackle, and lots of naughty food. And only one of them was for me, and it wasn't a handbag. I'm sure you've all done something similar yourselves in the past. Now, IKEA is brilliant at this. Their store is full of complete room sets that can inspire us. I know I've been there to look at rugs and returned home with a coffee table, 3 plants, a flat pack wardrobe, and a very cheap hot dog. It's simply not possible to have the same experience using their website. So that's peripheral vision. The final unique aspect of stores is the human to human contact. Staff in a store can make or break our experience. If they ignore us, give wrong information, or don't appear to care, it's frustrating and annoying. But the flip side to this is how great we feel when the staff in a store are amazing. The unexpected care and attention adds value and makes it fun, easy, and rewarding. This leaves us with a smile on our face and a determination to return to that store, as well as telling our friends about the experience. Just visit any Lush store around the world and you will see exactly what I mean. Care and consideration can often be undervalued by business, but hugely appreciated by the general public. Many of you may be familiar with the fast aisle in a supermarket, but have you heard of the slow aisle? Jumbo, a Dutch supermarket, opened their slow aisle last year, and this is where shoppers can stand and chat with members of staff as they pay for their groceries. It's a wonderful example of recognizing that some social groups, particularly the elderly or lonely, will appreciate the contact with another human during their day. This slow aisle may be less productive than the faster ones, but the customers that use it will be forever grateful, and it demonstrates empathy and consideration that will deliver returns well beyond the balance sheet for this business. The power and impact of great people helping us shop resonates strongly because humans are social creatures. So we need to balance technology like AI with the unique human benefits of a physical shop to deliver efficiency, but also a delightful and rewarding experience. We cannot ignore the human benefit, otherwise we may as well close down all the stores and do everything on an app. Well, that's my view on shops and my reasons why I will continue using one of these for much of my shopping. A nation of shopkeepers? Maybe, but certainly a nation of shoppers, and shoppers that will continue to enjoy using stores. Thank you. So that's my view, what I was actually trying to say last Sunday. I hope it resonates with everyone, and I hope you enjoyed the proper version of the talk. Thank you very much.